I have a question about Xavier, and it seems like just watching him, he really has gotten his hands on the football a lot, been really aggressive on the ball. And I'm wondering, I know that in your system, you place a premium on guys being able to play free and not be bogged down, with a lot going on. How much has he benefited from playing in a system that's kind of streamlined, which is a lot different maybe than where he came from? And just has that worked well with his skill set?
Yeah, Xavier is a work in progress because he's only played, 6 games in our system. So he's continuing to work on his really everything from the way the consistency in practice, which he's doing really good with, and his techniques and the fundamentals that the defense requires per the call. But I think he's doing really well in terms of that. Now, each player during the bye week got 2 things that he could work on, run and pass, for them to look at and study as a self-scout, and also going forward with their coach to be able to drill those fundamentals and techniques. So we have some skill development within our crew there. So each coach is responsible for each of his players, and Xavier is no different, and he's going to be focusing on those techniques. The couple things that we are really focusing in and honing in for him, so he can improve and our unit can improve during the course of the next several weeks.
And just one quick follow-up. Just how instinctive of a player is he? Because it just seems like he just oozes the instincts when you watch him.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're dealing with a player that makes plays like Xavier, or any player on our defense that we've seen make plays in the wide part of the field or in the run game, or either way, that takes instincts, and that's one thing that we always that's sought after for us. Is obviously the 3 things is the quickness, instincts, and the striking ability or tackling ability at a corner position. So he has that, and you can see that throughout the course of the weeks. And he's had some plays where he could have had some bigger splash plays he could have made too, and then we're focusing on those because we expect those out of him.
Ken Sterling.
Hey, Coach. With Darius Leonard coming back, what's the biggest characteristic that you guys are going to reap the benefit of as he comes back?
Well, I would say his presence. I know that sounds simplistic, but that's deeper than just the word. Him being in there in practice, his presence in practice, his emotion, his passion, certainly is contagious. And we all know that he's contagious for the entire building, when he's in the locker room and on the practice field. So that's number one, just his passion and his enthusiasm that he brings every single day, because this guy comes to work every single day. This guy is one of our hardest workers, if not the hardest worker on the practice field. And he brings it, and he means it when he brings it. So it's coming from the heart with him. And his presence on the football field certainly is felt as well. Obviously we have him standing right over the football, on the hash right there, right over the quarterback. And that's by design, because we feel he is one of our premier players, and he is a definite presence in there in the run and pass game. So we're excited to get him back.
Mike Chappell.
Wish you guys, like most defenses, you stress the takeaways and you work on it all the time. You're among the league leaders in interceptions with 10. The stretch of no fumbles, either creating or recovering, is it just one of those quirky stretches you're in, or what do you attribute that to?
Well, I mean, you look back at it, we have gotten some balls out via cause fumble. We had 3 or 4 out. They didn't give us one in Jacksonville. There's a couple of ones that we had one in Cleveland, and they said he was forward progress and all that. So we've had a few more. I know Matt had one in a kicking game early on, maybe the Vikings, and there's another one in there that I'm forgetting about. But we are working on that day in and day out, and it's something that we do, and we're going to continue to do. So we're just going to stay at it, be persistent and stay determined, and look for our opportunities.
But there's nothing you change off defensively in practice because you're already doing everything, I assume.
Well, you can always do more. You want to make sure that you're not passing up any attempt that you could have. And we're constantly coaching that, but we can coach it better. Obviously it's in the results, and we haven't gotten the results, and we have to make sure that we continue to do that.
Jim Ayala.
Hey, Coach. Last couple of weeks, there's been the first half struggles, and then obviously the second half has looked a lot better. Guys like DeForest and Kari have just kind of chalked it up to miscommunications. Can you tell us what does that mean? What kind of miscommunication? Can you, specifically what's happening in those situations?
Well, I mean, talking with the players, and I think that's really a wrong word, because when you say miscommunication, that means like, well, guys I'm saying this and I thought you said that. Well, that's not what's happening. It's execution. It's execution, meaning that we need to execute calls and be on the same page and executing those calls. And that's coaching player and coach. It's not like the guys are out there and said, hey, we're making this call, and all of a sudden they say, hey, I didn't know it was that call. I mean, that's not what's going on. We got to make sure that we're executing the call and the technique that's required for the call. So that's, again, focused by coach and player during the course of the week, and making sure we do that. And that's by also on me to make sure it's set up that way. And, we accept all responsibilities, player, coach, and player. And we're going to improve on that going forward.
A quick follow is, in terms of those lack of execution, then, was there any similarities between those two halves, or is it just kind of different things that popped up?
No, it's I would say, Jim, that it's when you look at a game and you look at it by a play-by-play basis, technique by technique, fundamental by fundamental, which is what we did in the bye week here. It's something here and something there. John Wooden said it takes 10 hands to make a basket. And that is so true in football as well. You could say, 22 hands to execute a play. And if one hand's not on the plow or one hand's not on the right assignment, then it could happen. A run could pop. Somebody's not in their gap. Somebody's not doing the things they're supposed to be doing, or their technique, or they made a nice play. They went up and got the football and they made a nice play, and that happens. There's great players in the NFL. That's why it's a great league. And it's a varying of things that happen. And to us, you got to stay positive and you got to hang in there. And that's what our guys did. And you look at what they did in terms of their response to that. We've played some solid football at times, and we've had some adversity at times. And that's like everything. That's on a day-to-day basis, and everybody's life is like that. So I think they learned some great lessons about how to pull together, how to lock arms, and how to make sure that we're pulling on the same rope and responding the right way. And that happens in a game, in a drive. It happens sometimes at a half, and you got to respond second half like it's happened here. But that's all the way up through any game that we've won or lost.
Zach Kiefer.
Hey, Matt, you said that when Chris came to you in the spring and said, what do you think about trading for DeForest Buckner? You said yes and yes. What did you learn 6 games in that you didn't know about Buckner on tape when you studied him? And do you think he belongs in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, what I've learned is he is better than I thought, in terms of meaning that the practice player, he's better than I thought. In terms of him playing the run is better than I thought. Him rushing the passer and his ability to stay alive is better than I thought. And then more importantly, his character and who he is as a man and who he is as a father. That is way better than I thought, because I didn't know him. I didn't know the guy. I didn't know the man per se. I just was heard of him. And that's been a pleasure to get to know him and his family better. And so that's what it's been. And, I think that, all those, the things that come along at the end of the season are group oriented. And, all the all pros and all those types of things, that's based on how the individual plays. But more importantly, it's based on how the unit plays and how the team plays, because that's the most important thing for us, is how our football team plays together. Offense, defense, and kicking. We're going to have games where, the defense is going to pull the offense is going to pull the defense, halves that way, and it's going to be games where the special teams comes up with some big plays for us to win. This is a long football season, and I think it's more about the team aspect of it than anything else.
Ken Bone.
Hey, Matt, what did you think of Tyquan Lewis's performance against Cincinnati? Seemed pretty productive on the stat sheet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Ty did a nice job. He came in there and had several plays, and we're looking to up a lot of those guys' playing time as we get going here, just because it is a long season and we look at percentages and we want to make sure our D-line's staying fresh and doing things the right way. So he played well, and he deserves an opportunity to get in there and continue to do that, and he will. Again, we all said and saw that he had a great training camp, and we're excited about where he is. And now he had a chance to get in there and do well, and he's just got to build off of that, and he will. He's going to do a good job and have a great practice this week. I know he's got a great mindset about it, and we're looking at other guys too to up their reps as well. It doesn't even in the second line and the back line too.
I know Jim asked you earlier about maybe more the back end guys, but first half in the pass rush the past couple of weeks, what have you seen there?
Well, I just think guys have to throw their fastball, whatever that is. If it's a power rush, you throw that. If he's a guy working on the edge, let's do that. I think sometimes when you're playing run and have to convert to the pass, we have to do that a little bit faster. So again, we're working on each guy, run and pass, 2 fundamentals and 2 techniques, and Coach Baker and Coach Raish are working out with those guys. We've all addressed that with each individual man. And they're going to drill it, work on it, one-on-one pass rush and team drills, and then also individual drills.
George Broward.
Coach, Kenny Moore told us yesterday that Phillip Rivers has really helped him with his blitzing, just talking about some of the things that maybe he was tipping off and things like that. How big of a resource is it as a defensive coordinator to have a quarterback who's seen as much as he has? And is that something he regularly does for the defense as a whole?
Yeah, I really believe in that, because you defend the pass through the eyes of the quarterback. And I've believed that for a long time. And I use that resource in everywhere I've been. I've been fortunate to be around offensive head coaches that I've worked for, and a lot of them were quarterbacks. And to me, I use that resource as much or even more because we're in the office together, to be able to use Frank in that regard. And just say, hey, how would you see that? What do you see here? What do you see there? What makes it difficult for you as an ex-quarterback and an offensive coordinator that's taking all those snaps? And do the same thing with Phillip when we get a chance to grab him and the quarterbacks that we've had before in the past, because that's what matters. It matters how you affect and put mental and physical pressure on that player to be able to do that, and that's a great resource for us. And I think more importantly, Phillip talks to us as coaches, but man, he talks to the players even more. He's talking to Darius and Kenny and Julian and Kari and all those guys. And because it's a team, we are a football team, and we have great character of men here, and those guys are willing to share ideas to help anything that can help us to win.
Last question, Matt Taylor.
Hey, Coach, if and when Kamoko Toure is able to get back on the field, what are some things that you need to see that will tell you that he's ready to go, that he's ready to get back on the game field?
Yeah, I just speed and quickness. How fast is he taking off? Is he able to turn the corner? Is he able to finish his rushes? Can he play the run? Is he stout enough to play the run in terms of how he feels with his leg? So it's just about the speed and quickness and turning ability. And we'll know it, and he'll know it. His body will tell him when he's ready to go. And we're getting him into this week, and we'll see where he's at.